Hello, I'm going to show you how to work with the kit that comes with the three 3x3 dishes. Now, the samples I have are 3 different techniques. You can choose to do whatever you want on these dishes. You can make all 3 match, or you can have 3 completely different dishes, so you can keep them as a set or give them away. The way they fire is that we will put the design on top of the flat base glass, then it's put into the kiln and melted into one solid piece, and then it's set on top of a clay mold and taken to a lower temperature in the kiln that will then bend it into the shape of the clay mold. Because of the different thicknesses and types of glass we're using, if you're doing 3 different styles, you may end up with 3 slightly different shapes. And depending on the heat in the kiln, sometimes the dish can be a little bit deeper or shallower. So what I have here is all of the pieces that came out of your kit, and 3 example techniques. The first thing you should do if you're going to be using the cut glass is to watch the glass cutting introduction video, because that's going to show you the basics on how to work with the cut glass and give you all kinds of ideas of what can be done. This one is the straightforward Mosaic Nippers, so you only need to use, whoops, got a toothpick in there. Only you need to use these guys in order to make this one. It's really simple, just a matter of taking your pieces of glass. You're going to have screws to the ceiling as it shows in the cutting video, and just snip off the pieces that you want in whatever colors you want. And then you're going to just place them where you want on the glass. Once you have your design how you like it, then you can grab the tacky glue. This is the tacky glue, and a toothpick, and just put a light smearing of the tacky glue, not too much, just a tiny bit, just enough to tack it down. And you'll do that with each of the pieces of glass so that they're set in place and they won't move around. And then when it's fired, they will all sink down so that you have this lovely smooth surface. There's no rules to this. You can add additional, we have all kinds of different crushed glass in all different colors and textures. You can sprinkle that on top. Just wait, if you're going to be adding any of the crushed glass or the stringers on top, make sure that the glue on here is dry first. Otherwise, things can start to move and it can get really frustrating. So just dry off that first, then you can add additional elements if you want. This one is all cut glass, but super easy. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to grab a few of these pieces and I'll show you how easy it is. I'm just going to move this guy aside. Grab my cutter and my running pliers. And I'm putting magnifying glasses on, but you will have safety glasses in your kit, so make sure you're wearing glasses when you're cutting. So this one, I'm just using this as a gauge so I know where my 3 inches are. Again, watch that cutting video because I explain what I'm doing in more detail there. So I'm just going to make some wavy lines. Like that. There's no right or wrong. I'm flipping it over because I want to make sure I've got glass on both sides of this curve, and here it was a little tight, so I'm better off cutting from this, breaking it from this angle so I can get it off. There we go. So for this technique, I've got 2 different kinds of 2 different colors of transparent glass, and I'm overlapping them. So I'm putting one here, and then maybe I'm going to get another color. Get that 3 inches again. Do another squiggle. There. So once I've got one layer, I could do the whole layer of different colors. It works best with transparents because you can see through them, and when you layer up transparents, you can get darker, deeper colors just by stacking them up. So you do one layer like this, and then you'd come back over and do a second layer, just overlapping some of the others. And I don't know if you can see that with this, but it has some additional colors that are stacked on top. So in some areas, you've got sort of 3 layers. And so when it fires, it gives you this sort of neat wavy effect, and it really has depth. You can really see that there are layers of color in there. I kept it very simple with just 3 colors, but you can do this with all kinds of different colors as well. So that's the stacking method for that one. And as you can see, when it's fired, you have an irregular edge because you've got irregular volume on there. So that gives a different effect. So put this back in. And then the final one is strictly crushed glass. You can do any pattern you like on here. It's endless. But this particular one, I'll just show you how I did it. I put one color in the middle. Get your little spoon. I like to use a spoon instead of just dumping straight from the jar, because I find that it is safer than than accidentally dumping the whole jar out. Just tapping that around, and I'll get do some of this. Whoops, that's okay. It's gonna be all mixed in anyway. Okay. Sometimes it's nice to work on a paper. You'll be getting this cutting board with your stuff, so you can easily lift it off and gather up. You can just siphon whatever bits fell back into the jars. So now that I've got this, I could leave it, I could rework it, but in order to get this effect, I just keep going back and forth. Eventually spreads the design throughout, gives you kind of a radiating effect. So that, this big chunk's kind of not working. There we go. And then if I wanted to, I could add, I've got some nice red chunks. I could add some red chunks in an actual radiating pattern. There are some tweezers in your kit. You can get really specific and use the tweezers. Totally up to you. But that is another option for doing your 3-inch, and it's a very pretty, very cheerful little 3-inch by 3-inch dish. So once you're finished all of your designing on your 3 glass pieces, you're going to make sure that the glass is well secured to the base so that we can transport it back to the kiln. So we already talked about the mosaic piece. You're going to use the tacky glue underneath. If you do put frit on top, then you're going to use the hairspray bottle and just give it a squirt, and that will set the frit on top. This guy, all pieces, just a tiny skim of the tacky glue underneath each piece will hold it in place. And then this guy that's all frit, you're just gonna give it a good squirt with the hairspray. Don't turn it into a puddle because everything will start to move around on you. If that happens, take a little bit of paper towel to sop up the excess so that everything will set and stay where you want it to. All you need to do is get it damp, and that'll be solid enough for it to stay stuck. Once it's dry, it goes back into the bin. You're gonna put everything, all the tools, all the leftover glass. As you can see, you've got way more glass than you need for the project. So please put the leftover glass back in the bag. This keeps our costs down, but still allows you to have as many options as possible for choosing your design. So everything, all the jars, all the tools go back into this bag, and then only the glass is in this bin. And we have little pieces of painter's tape, so you can just lightly tack or even do a little roll underneath to stick them in place just so they don't move around too much in transport. And when they come back to the kiln, we will fire them, and you will end up with 3 beautiful little dishes. As always, you can call me or email me with any questions you have along the way, and have fun.